Good day and welcome once again to Profiles. I'm Ed Hyland. And a special treat for all of us today. We're going to take a look at UCF athletics and essentially the future of UCF athletics. And the future is the man sitting with us today, Keith Tribble. Thank you so much for coming, joining us today. Since 1993, the Chief Executive Officer for the Orange Bowl Committee in Miami. And prior to that, you've got a pretty impressive resume of athletics on and off the field. And just give us an idea that when you got that call from, I'm assuming the president, someone called you and said, you are a candidate for the athletics director at UCF. What was your thought? What was your impression?
Well, my first thought was obviously I was excited. I was flattered because anytime you are being considered for, what I think is one of the best jobs in the country, being an athletic director, because you have an opportunity to work with student athletes and molding and shaping their lives. I mean, it was something that was flattering. Then I began to do my homework to find out more about Central Florida. I knew a little bit about it, but did not know all that has happened here. And so as I began to do the homework, looking on the internet, getting information, I became more intrigued by it, and obviously was very interested in pursuing that opportunity.
And after 13 years, it still must have been a little tough to even think about moving out.
It is. I looked at it and you've been there 13 years. You've been a part of a community that has, grown. Even though Miami is a very, tradition town, and everything happens down there, it still has a lot of growing, and it's hard for people to imagine that. But I've been in the community. I was in the community for 13 years. Had grown the Orange Bowl Committee to unprecedented heights, and so it was very tough to lead there. Very tough.
Some of the similarities, perhaps, and differences between your former job and what you're coming into here at UCF.
Well, it's scary that they parallel each other very well. In terms of working with the community, the amount of stakeholders that I had to deal with, sponsors, boosters, political, whether it's the commissioners or the mayors and so forth. And then, it was, as in most cases, it deals with trying to get enough resources and revenue to produce the program. So I looked at it and I said, this is identical to what I've been doing for 13 years. And this is something that obviously I've excelled at. And maybe I could utilize that, what I've accomplished and help UCF become a top 25 program.
Would you say the Orange Bowl experience perhaps even made you more well-rounded? I mean, you were dealing with marketing, you were dealing with promotion, and a lot of times athletic directors don't often get that kind of exposure and experience.
Well, one thing that I said in the interview process is that I bring a unique quality. I have a skill set of being able to not only work in the university setting, which I had done previously at University of Florida and UNLV. So that portion of, academia on the campus, obviously I had experience. But then, as you said, I had the opportunity now with the business side, with the sales, the marketing, the media relations, the revenue generation to bring to the table. So if you combine those two together, then you've got a powerful force. At least that's what I told the committee.
Now, you mentioned that, of course, that you have played football, played for UF. We'll forgive you for that.
Okay.
But obviously, you're coming into a situation where now you're in charge of a rather large ensemble of different athletic programs. How does your past experience fit into that? And kind of what do you see as some of the direction that you're going to take, not only the football program, but some of the other athletic programs as well?
Well, one of the unique things that I've been able to do is both at the University of Florida and UNLV, is to really emphasize how important it is to have an all-round, well sports program. As you can, we all know that Florida has a very good program, not only in football and basketball, but in their women's sports and in their other Olympic sports. So it's important because we represent the entire student athlete, and that's 500 to 600 athletes, and they deserve the opportunity to excel in their particular sports. So I've always, my philosophy has been, we want to educate and graduate our student athletes, and we want to be able to compete for championships in all sports. Now I realize that we're not going to win a championship in every sport every year, but at least if they have that opportunity, and these student athletes, the coaches have the opportunity to compete and know that when they start the season, that at the end of the year, if they do the things and breaks, they get breaks, and somehow or another the team that was supposed to win doesn't win, and they are in that position, maybe they can win championships. So it's not about just football or basketball. It's about the total program, and that's what I'm going to preach here.
I know at the Orange Bowl, your budget was about $35 million,
right.
I believe I read.
Right.
Money makes the world go round.
No
You're going to have a whole room full of coaches and others who are saying, well, our program, to get that championship or get close to it, we're going to need more money. We're going to need more money. How do you see that evolving, and how do you turn to the coaches who are in perhaps a sport that's not a big ticket seller, sure, and say, well, this is your share. This is how we're going to have to divvy it up?
Well, I think all coaches understand that they play a role in this whole pie, and that at the end of the day, if we have to excel here in football and basketball, because those are the two sports that primarily drive the revenue. And I think if we do well there, then they know that they are able to, in essence, get the fruits of their labor, if you want to call it that. So I think the coaches understand that, and they know that within a certain parameter, they have to be able to be successful within those dollars. And as we continue to get better, as we continue to sell tickets, sell out the stadium, the new football stadium and the new convocation center that's coming on board here, and have more people participate in giving to the athletic program, then that will enable us to fund more of our programs, to give them an opportunity to recruit better student athletes, to have, the facilities I match up the facilities that we currently have with anyone across the country. So those kind of things we can continue to do if we continue to get the support from the fans.
There is a rather rare opportunity here, I think, that a lot of people are seeing, and that, as you mentioned, the Convocation Center, the new stadium, those are all things kind of in the works. So you're walking into a program with all of this ground floor, sure, essentially kind of built, and the house, if you will, is going to be the one that you shape from this point. That's got to be kind of a daunting task as well when you think about it.
Well, it is, but it's something that obviously I've trained to handle and know how to handle. And as I said in my press conference, it was Steve Orsini and Steve Sloan's vision to get to this point. And it was important for me to pass along to the staff and to this community that we had to finish. We had to finish the job that has been started. Because in order for us to be a top 25 program, which should be our goal, to be a top 25 athletic program in the country, we have to finish those projects and then start new projects that will continue that growth. So I think the order is there in terms of what we have to do. I think our coaches and our staff and our fans and our student athletes and everyone that's a part of the UCF family they want to be great. They want to strive to be a top program, and in order to do that, we've got to complete the projects that are on the board.
You've got a lot of good people and a lot of good programs that you're inheriting. Have you really given much thought at this point to the Tribble plan? What you might do in terms of expanding, building on what you've got in terms?
Well, I'm going through a phase now. Currently, now we're obviously looking at what we need to do, and that's an ongoing process. I look at it as a work in progress, if you want to call it. The evaluation process is something that's very important because you have to be able to determine, in terms of the plan and the vision that you've laid out, who best can work that. And there are some very fine people here. I've had an opportunity to meet each and every one of them. They all believe that they can make a difference. And that's a start, and that's important. Now it's up to me to make sure that there's a plan that they can buy into, that they feel a part of, and that they can execute. And then by that plan being executed, hopefully our stakeholders, those people that we're counting on to really participate in a financial way, and well, not only financial, but also in human resources, because we need both. We need the financial resources and we need the human resources to make this work. And I think that's going to be our charge to do that. And really, I'm a guy of simple plans, because I think the simpler your plan is, the easier it is for people to follow it.
You may have answered my next question, which was how would you characterize your management style? In that, Coach O'Leary, for example, Mr. Casual. I mean, pretty much. But out on the field, he's a drill sergeant.
That's right.
So how exactly would you call your management style?
Well, I think fans will see, and our staff will see, I'm aggressive in the sense of everything's moving. We're moving forward. I believe if you stand still, you'll be left behind. So I would say very aggressive, but yet I believe that everyone is accountable and that everyone has a role to play in this organization, whether it's a staff member, a coach, a student athlete, faculty member, whatever stakeholder that has an interest in UCF, they have a role to play, and we expect them to play their role.
How are you when it comes to folks coming in? I'm thinking students. I'm thinking perhaps the lower levels of administration. One time the old idea was to have a suggestion box so you could get ideas. But do you see a lot of good ideas that come up from the grassroots,
Sure.
so to speak?
A lot of ideas. I encourage that because sometimes people who do not have the day-to-day responsibility of a certain project or program may not see what the fan is seeing, or may not see what people who are not connected with it will see. And sometimes they will make a suggestion that may be small, but the small details are the ones that really makes the difference. And so some of my best suggestions have come from people who really have no vested interest, but happen to be a casual observer or happen to attend a ball game and said, we saw this and we thought this would be a good idea. And I'd say, oh, that's pretty good. So I encourage those things, and especially from my staff, from my coaches, and really from fans, that if they have a genuine interest and they care about UCF, and they want to see us be better, and want to see us strive for greatness, those suggestions are the things that we would definitely consider.
You realize every alum's going to be on the phone.
Oh, no problem.
giving you suggestions along the way.
No problem.
Let me refer to my notes if you don't mind, because I wanted to get this right. You have been named among the most influential minorities in sports by Sports Illustrated, and one of the most powerful blacks in sports by Black Enterprise magazine. What role, if any, do those accolades play in taking over the office here of Athletics Director?
Well, it shows what your peers think about you. It shows what the industry thinks about you. It shows that you have done a good job, hopefully. And I think those are the kind of things when you're looking for leaders, you're looking for people who are well respected, who have a vision, who are active, in terms of the profession. And so those are definitely recognitions that I'm humbled about, because, you don't go looking for those kind of things, but when they come, you're very appreciative of it. And so I think in a small way, I don't think in a major way, but I think in a small way, it really adds to the resume, my current resume.
And referring to your news conference, I know a reporter brought it up, and I'll kind of reiterate the question that they had asked along the way about the recruitment factor. Obviously, you're a role model for young people,
Sure.
and perhaps even more so for young black men and women.
Sure.
Do you see that as an enhancement to the overall program?
No question about it. When I started in this business some 20 plus years ago, I could recall asking the question, can I be an athletic director or trainer or academic advisor at that time? And the answer was yes. But then my next question was, well, I don't see anyone who looks like me that's in these roles. So is there a legitimate opportunity? So if you can create that vision, I used to, there's a saying that what they see is what they can be. I think that's very important. And so if I serve that role in terms of being a mentor, being something that young men and women, whether African American or not, can say, I can aspire to do that because I see someone who has done that. then I think that benefits not only them, but benefits society in the whole. So, you know, I've played that role for most of my life, and you know, I hold it very, very dearly. It's important to me, and so each and every day that I go about doing my job, I want to do it the best way we can.
You made that decision some years back, because I've heard from a couple of people that you probably could have played pro ball.
Yeah, you know, I enjoy the game, I still do, but I really did. I thought that I would be better served in doing something, you know, like I'm doing today. Pro football to me was a tool to get through college. I was fortunate enough that I was able to get out in 4 years and with a degree, and then I decided, you know, it's either time. It's time for me to work, which, you know, I tell everyone who goes to college, enjoy those 4 years of college, you know, because after those 4 years, you have to work for the rest of your life. But
it's hard to tell your kids.
That's exactly right.
No,
yes,
you don't know what work is.
You don't know what work is. But you know, I enjoyed the sport, but I just really didn't believe that that would be my long-term, you know, job, I guess, to play professional. But I probably could have played if I wanted to, but you know, I chose this path, and I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did.
Do you take an active role in the recruitment process for the different sports?
You know, I do, because I think it's important for the moms and the dads and the uncles, grandfathers, whoever is the guardian of the student athlete to see who the boss is. And to know that, you know, when their student athlete comes to this campus, that we're going to take care of them. And I want to give that commitment to their parents, to the parents or to their guardians, because I know how important that is. You know, I sat in that chair of being a recruited athlete, and it was important for my parents to hear that these guys who are coming in my house and want my kid to go to this school, I want to know that they're going to take care of my kid. They know that they'll get a good education. They know that they'll participate in their sport, their chosen sport. But what parents need to know, or want to know, is my kid going to be taken care of? And when things happen, is there going to be someone there that's going to hold their hand? And we have to remember, these are kids. They're still kids. They're, you know, 16 to 20. They're very at the early stages of their, you know, adult lives in terms of, so a lot of things are happening in that span of time. So they still need our guidance and our direction. They still need someone to tell them, you know, this is right, this is wrong. So parents want to know that. So I want to reassure them that from me as the athletic director, that's what our coaches and our staff and our people will do. We'll take care of their kids.
And on that same vein, I would assume that you're going to have a pretty close working relationship with your individual coaches. I mean, if you're going to be part of the recruitment process as well, then they're going to have to realize that not only are you the boss, but you're somebody that they can confide in and work with.
Yes. I don't think that'll be a problem. I think that I believe that if you're part of the team, we're a family. And the family helps when you need, you know, if they need me, I'm there. If they don't need me, I'm not going to be upset about it, because obviously I have a lot of things to do. But I can be an asset to their program. Because, you know, again, I speak from a student athlete's perspective, I speak from a parent's perspective, and I speak from a person who has been successful in terms of his career to this point. So if at the end of the day that makes a parent feel good, feel comfortable, and I can do it for the good of UCF and getting that great student athlete here, that's my job.
Let me jump back, if I can, to the hiring process, and just hopefully you won't have to give up any secrets here. But when you were given the word, okay, you are the one.
Yeah.
As part of the selling pitch, are you given assurances? Or what kind of ground rules, if you will, are kind of laid out as to, okay, we want you to do it, and here's what we'll help you with. Here's what we'd like you to do. Right. How does that phraseology?
Well, I think what was important for me once I was told that you know, I had been selected, through the process, I made it very clear, and then after the process of meeting with the president, is that I wanted to ensure that there was a commitment, that not only from the president but from everyone around, that there was a commitment to building a strong and competitive Division I athletic program that would strive to be in the top 25, that would do the things necessary in terms of the facilities as is happening, do the things necessary as providing the resources as possible, and do the things necessary that will provide a great opportunity for our student athletes to be successful in the classroom, number one, and then in the field of competition. And once I knew that that assurance was there, that would be the only way that I would take the job. And I think that the day that that ceases to happen is the day that I no longer want to be a part of a program, because all my life, wherever I've been, it has to be a commitment to excellence. It has to be a commitment to, in this case, to student athlete, because if the student athlete weren't here, none of us would have jobs. And so we have to keep that in our back of our mind, is that we have to make sure that that student athlete experience is the best that it could possibly be. I'm a big proponent of the student athlete and the student athlete welfare. So once I got those assurances, then I knew that this was the right place. And I had that early on in the process as I interviewed, and then as I after I accepted the job and had a conversation with the president, I was reassured, and in fact, that was important for me.
Just in the last couple of minutes that we've got here, if you were to put up kind of a report card, realizing it's early in your tenure,
sure,
but if you were kind of put up a report card on what you'd like to be graded on, you know, say a year from now, people come back, what would you probably put at the top of the list, or maybe the top couple of things that you'd like to see you evaluated on for performance over the next couple of months and the coming year?
Well, I think over a period of time, you want to be evaluated on finishing the projects, finishing what has been started, because I think that will make a giant step for us in an athletic program. It's hard to imagine, or for anyone to imagine, how important it is for us here at this university to have a on-campus football stadium. Athletics, whether you like it or not, is the doorway to the university. It really, it just ignites and invigorates and gets the alumni excited, it gets the fans excited, gets the students excited. And so if we can play a role in athletics that can generate that kind of excitement, which hopefully then generates financial support, which then continues to grow the university, then we're doing our job. So I think to be judged on finishing those projects is first and foremost, and that's our number one priority right now.
President John Head at your news conference said he knew, I think, 5 minutes, or within 5 minutes after he met you, that you were the man, and I think it's pretty easy to see why. Keith Tribble, thank you so much for joining us today on Profiles, and continued success.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today on Profiles. I'm Ed Highland. We'll see you next time.